You guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, you need to. It's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hi, and welcome to Mimesis, a podcast about all the twisted ways that art and life imitate each other. I'm Stacey Rourke.
And I'm Sandra Sheriff-Zachary.
Sandra.
Yes.
I have a dream for this podcast.
I do too,
Do you know what it is?
but I want to know yours.
Yeah. I have a dream that at some point we can just record an episode once and not have to re-record it. That's it.
That would
That's
be
my dream right now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to manifest for us right now. We'll go to success and, having more listeners and making all sorts of friends.
My dream for.
Yeah. We'll do that later. Right now, we are 3 for 3.
3 for 3.
3 episodes in, and we've had to re-record every single one of them.
Everyone.
Yep. Mostly because you can't hear me in our original ones.
Yeah.
So now I am eating my microphone and hoping people can hear me.
I hope so. We'll get it.
Yeah.
We'll eventually get it.
We're learning.
Yeah.
We're learning. But we do have some fun and exciting things going on in addition to re-recording.
We do.
We've got our social media platforms are up now.
Yep. Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. Facebook is at facebook.com/the Mimesis Podcast. Instagram. Do you know that one off the top of your head?
No.
At the Mimesis Podcast. The website, you should know, you created it.
I did. Mimesespodcast.com.
That's right. That's the only one that doesn't have the at the beginning of it. Because we wanted to make it a little tricky right there, apparently. And if anyone has any story ideas of things that they would like to see in a future episode, they can send them to us at our email. You know that one?
The mimesespodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. Yay. Awesome things happening there. I'm also trying to set up our Patreon page.
Yes.
When we get that set up, we're going to have some additional content there. We have one episode that we did. I think we can tell people that I was recovering from surgery.
Yeah.
And man, we got a little punchy on that one.
We were both a little tired.
Yeah. But it's funny. It's really funny. I think a lot of our personalities came out more than anything.
Yes.
So we got that one good. And another thing that'll be on the Patreon when we get it up is your blooper reel.
My blooper reel.
Yeah.
Because I cannot say the opening line.
The podcast about all the twisted ways that art and life imitate each other.
Yeah.
She can't say it.
No, I can have it written out right in front of me and I cannot do it.
It's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that blooper reel that will be available on there as well. And we're going to work on some other like little mini episodes that will be Patreon only. Actually, we're supposed to be doing a mini episode next week for recording, but you got a message from me about that one.
Yes. Hey, that's okay. It can turn into a full episode.
That's what it was. I was like, listen, I know this is supposed to be a mini, but I found some really cool information. And she's like, just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Hey, we need to.
Yep. And it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. Actually, there's so much information. It may end up being a 2-parter because there's just that much.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm still in research mode, so we'll see how that
and I'm
goes.
still trying to catch up. So the more time that you need, the more time I get to catch up.
There you go. That works. That works for everybody.
Yeah.
But now for today's episode, this one is mine.
Yes.
This one is mine, and I'm really excited about it because it involves one of my all-time favorite TV shows. Like, we all have those comfort shows that we rewatch all the time.
Like Friends.
This is one.
And
Yeah, this is one of my comfort shows. But it's not like Friends.
I know.
Unless friends kill friends.
Oh, please no.
No, I don't want to. Chandler, no. This week, we are going to be talking about Dexter and some real life serial killers that mirror some of the killers on the show.
I love Dexter so much.
I do too. Like I said, it's one of my all-time favorite shows. I can't even. There's just no words.
It's
no words.
It's really just Michael C. Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. You shouldn't be rooting for the guy that's killing people, but he's only killing bad people,
Exactly.
so that makes it okay. Yeah. And you said something about he...
Oh, yeah. He has a band. He's not just an actor. He has a band. Do you want to know the name?
Oh, it's got to be something dark and twisted. I know it does.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
Okay. Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum.
I'm sorry, what?
Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum. It's actually really, really good.
I think with a name like that, you have to be really good. Because otherwise, people are just going to throw things at you. Okay. Yeah. Well, I will appreciate his talent as a performer, and I will reserve judgment until I have heard his music. However, I will say naming things is clearly not a gift he was graced with.
No.
No.
That's a mouthful.
No. Like, Mouse Rat is better than that. Call your band Mouse Rat.
I love Mouse Rat. I didn't get it at first when my husband had a shirt on that said that. And I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah. It took me a while.
Lil Sebastian, the tribute song, all of that. That actually is another one of my comfort shows. Depends on my mood. Do I want people to die or do I want to laugh?
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, enough about us and the small talk. Let's get down to business. Yes. Now, as I was researching the killers on this show, I did pull information from things that the producer said about actual killers they had in mind when they did certain details and certain scenes.
Okay, for like each different season?
Yes,
okay.
We're not going to do all of them. We're going to do some of the main ones. Okay. But the thing with this is that they didn't really say up front all of the killers that they were drawing inspiration from. So I, as someone who has watched the show many times and has a little bit of a inkling towards true crime, I pieced together some killers that they had connections to, things that they had in common. Okay. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, if anybody listening hears me mention a killer that they think, oh, that one is okay, but this one might be better, by all means, email us, let us know. Let's get a conversation going. I want to hear what you think about these things. One more thing before I get going. Actually, it's a two-parter. First of all, there are going to be spoiler alerts. If you haven't watched Dexter, we're going to be talking about some of the things that happened. So if you haven't watched it, you don't want it spoiled, this might not be the episode for you. Second of all, there are trigger warnings here. We're obviously talking about murder. There's going to be some torture. There's even going to be some discussion about rape. So trigger warning. I will try to... Before I blurt those things out, I will try to give you a little moment to brace yourself that it's coming. Now, are you ready? Are you ready to dig in?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, let's do this thing. In season 1 of Dexter, the Miami Metro team is hunting down the ice truck killer who, spoiler alert, freezes his victims' bodies before dismembering them. The one man whose crimes I feel closely resemble that is Richard Kuklinski, otherwise known as the Iceman. Now, both Richard and Brian Moser, who on the show is the ice truck killer, had super shitty childhoods. Brian was in the shipping container where he watched his mother get sliced to bits with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Hello, trauma.
Oh, extreme trauma.
Yeah. Obviously, that's going to mess a kid up big time. Yeah. Richard's story might not have involved a chainsaw yet. But yet. Put a pin in that. We'll get back to that later. But he did have an incredibly abusive father that made his fundamental years an absolute nightmare.
Oh, no. It always comes back to the parents.
It does. It does. There's a whole nature versus nurture thing that happens there. But, if you see that the parents are abusive and, there's signs there. Not in every case.
Not in every
People
case.
break free, but yeah.
You got to break that cycle.
Break the cycle. Okay, so what motivated these two men to murder? On Dexter, Brian is secretly Dexter's brother, and he's using the murders to get Dexter's attention in hopes of them bonding over their mutual desire to kill, which is one of the more gruesome things to bond over.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah, it really is. Richard, on the other hand, killed as a way to provide for his family. He became a hitman for the mob and truly had a gift for it. He could take lives with cold indifference and even claimed in past interviews that he carries no regret about any of them.
Wow.
Yeah. However, after watching 3 documentaries about it, which you can find these on HBO Max, and it's The Iceman Tapes, The Iceman and the Psychologist, and The Iceman Confesses, I believe he does carry an immense amount of guilt for how his family was impacted by this.
Right, like not for the people that he killed, but for his family. Just that they found out.
His wife and kids had no idea that he was doing this. They thought he was a businessman.
Yeah.
So, he'd get up from the Christmas table and say, I have to go. And they thought he was out there, some big business dealing, but instead he was killing people.
Yeah.
And his wife and family eventually found out.
When he was arrested.
Yeah.
Like they didn't find out because they saw like blood on him.
No, they didn't find out because of that. He didn't fess up to it. They found out when he was arrested.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
I mean, they had a nice home. They were living the suburban dream. And then all of that was just completely shattered when the truth about what he did, what he'd been doing, caught up with him.
Yeah.
So while Brian always dismembered the bodies of his victims and left them in those gruesome little packages for law enforcement to find, Richard took different methods of disposal. Sometimes he would cut them up with a chainsaw. See, I told you we'd get back to the chainsaw. Other times he would wrap them in a tarp and dump their bodies. He considered them trash at that point. He was just throwing them out like trash because that's all they were to him. His words. Another, and this one just is so, hold on to your butts, okay? After he killed someone, I think it was a male. I don't think he ever killed women. I think this was all men. He put a body in a shipping barrel, one of those big sealing barrels that you have, the metal ones.
Yeah.
And he put it outside of a diner that he frequented all the time.
Oh my
and
goodness.
he just left it there and then came back daily to eat at this diner because he wanted to see how long it would take before somebody noticed it.
Oh my gosh. Nothing like returning to the scene of the crime.
Yeah. And one day it vanished. He didn't hear any word about it, that anything horrible had been found inside of it. So as far as he knows, one day the barrel just vanished and that was it.
Wow. I've always been afraid of that, honestly. Working in kitchens, going out and then there's a body in the garbage.
Yeah. because there's always like big dumpsters and stuff back there, and you never know.
Yeah, and they're always like kind of like fenced in a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly. New fear unlocked.
Yeah.
Dumpsters.
Yep.
Now, the ice truck killer got that name because he used a refrigerated truck that allowed him to keep the body parts of his victims cold until he could dump them in just the right spot. Richard became known as Iceman when he used a freezer chest to keep bodies cold and throw off their time of death to the medical examiners.
Right, because they could decompose at a different time once you freeze them.
Exactly. But see, the similarities don't end there. Both Brian and Richard have brothers who are also killers.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Richard's brother murdered a 12-year-old girl and is serving a life sentence in the same prison Richard was in.
So they get to have Christmas dinner together.
But they don't.
Okay,
They
good.
don't. They don't speak. What he said is that he'll see his brother in the hall and he'll say hi to him, and his brother won't even acknowledge him, won't even talk to him. Which surprises me. Like, if there's one person from the outside that you know that's there.
And they did like the same thing. They killed people.
Like, it seems you would want to, I don't know. I'm sure there's more in that story about their relationship that we don't know.
Oh, probably. Maybe one of them got beat worse than the other by the dad. And so they were like mad, like, why did you get off easy or something?
Exactly. There's no way to know.
Yeah.
It was a messed up backstory. And of course, with the ice truck killer, we know that Dexter is his brother, and Dexter is quite fluent at murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did the two Icemen die? Spoiler alert for those that haven't seen. On the show, Brian has his throat slit by Dexter and his body parts dumped in the ocean in true Bay Harbor butcher fashion. Richard died in prison of a heart attack that many believed was under suspicious circumstances. Maybe his brother had something to do with that.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. But if you want to learn any more about Richard, you can, like I said, you can find the documentaries, The Iceman Tapes, The Iceman Psychologist, and Iceman Confesses on HBO Max. Now, on to killer number 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
This one is my favorite on the show.
I think I know.
On the show, it's my favorite. The killer bums me out big time.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Trinity Killer and the BTK Killer.
John Lithgow.
Oh, John Lithgow did an outstanding job in this role.
I never took him as a serious actor until that.
I know. He's that role, the way he portrayed that darkness.
Yeah, he did amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Like, it's sad that he can be creepy like that. But he did a really
because
good
he
job.
does so great in comedy roles. Did you ever see him in Harry and the Hendersons?
Yes.
Oh, Harry Harry was like a big puppy dog, and he was so sweet with him. And now I want to watch that movie. I totally dated myself by saying that because that's like way an 80s movie, but damn it, it's good. It needs to be brought up.
I actually had my daughter watch it not too long ago because it was on Netflix.
Isn't it cute?
It was funny. She loved it.
Yeah. It's a good one. Yeah. Now, producers did confirm that they pulled elements from BTK when they were putting together the Trinity Killer.
I could see that.
Yeah. Real name, Dennis Rader. This guy is just the worst.
Sick.
If you listen to the podcast Morbid, which I reference a lot because, again, I think they do such a great job at deep diving into cases that I like to refer back to their brilliance. Okay, Morbid, hosted by Helena and Ash, they did a big deep dive into BTK, and they covered the dark elements of cases, but they roll their snarky humor into it. It's awesome. Give them a listen. But yes, they refer to him as fucking Dennis for good reason. And you will see why. So the producers drew the inspiration from BTK, even in their titles. BTK is based on 3 core elements: bind, torture, kill. And Trinity is believed at first to have the habit of killing in a cycle of 3: killing a woman in a bathtub, pushing another to their death, and bludgeoning a man with a hammer. Yep. Spoiler alert, we do learn later that there's a 4th habit, but by that point, his name had already been established as Trinity, and it stayed that way. Both BTK and Trinity killed men, women, children. However, the reasons for killing were very different. For BTK, it was sexual. This freak got off on it.
Ew.
Yeah. He never had sex with any of his victims, but semen was found at the scenes because, like, he would masturbate over their bodies.
Ew.
Yeah.
No. Ew.
I know.
No.
Yep. Sometimes while they were still bound, not quite dead.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Oh, wait, it gets worse. It gets worse.
Oh, dear.
Yes. According to the book Confession of a Serial Killer by Catherine Ramsland, PhD, Dennis called these moments of having his victims tied up while he did his business. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
He called it his Sparky Big Time.
Oh, no.
That's right. Sparky Big Time. This guy's the fucking worst.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Can you imagine, like, your partner calling it that?
Oh, no. No, please,
that would be
no.
it. I'd be done. Okay.
I'd be like, go away. We're done here.
We're done. I'm closing up shop. We're
Never
chastity
again,
belting it.
you?
Yeah.
Nope.
Never again.
You're done.
Here's your coat. Here's your keys. Have a good life. Yeah.
Bye.
We're done here. Yep. Trinity, on the other hand, it wasn't sexual at all for him. He repeated the loop because of pain in his past. His sister caught him looking at her in the shower, which I guess kind of pervy there, but he wasn't touching himself. So do you give him credit for that? Good for you.
Yeah, good for you.
But when she got up to close the door, she slipped and shattered the shower doors, and a shard of glass cut the artery in her leg, and she bled to death in front of him. Their mother went through a deep depression after that, and ended up throwing herself off a bridge. Again, repeating the pattern of him tossing a woman off. Yeah. This left Arthur alone with his very abusive father, Henry. Henry was later found beaten to death in an alley behind a bar, and while the show hints that Arthur did it, that's never really confirmed.
Yeah.
After that, Arthur would poison a child and bury them alive, and for him, this was symbolizing his own loss of innocence. He was the little boy dying. Arthur was also a meticulous planner. Dennis usually bumbled his way through his crimes. Yet both were able to keep killing streaks going for decades. They were both married with kids, yet Arthur is shown to be verbally and physically abusive, while Dennis's family maintains he was a kind man and they had no idea he was capable of that kind of violence.
I don't know how these people can just not get caught by their family. Like, how do they keep it straight?
I have no idea. I really don't. I don't know how you wouldn't see something that gave you a clue.
I mean, the fact that they're not there all the time would be kind of concerning to me.
Yeah, but would your head go there? Or would you think, like,
I would just honestly cheating.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Would you think he was cheating, or, where does your head go? Or does it
staying with them?
Yeah.
If they're cheating.
I don't. Well, Dennis's wife didn't stay with him either. She bounced. His kids were like, no, we don't need to talk to him anymore. They shut him out.
Before he was caught?
Oh, when they learned what he'd done.
Oh, when they learned.
Which I think you'd have to. How can you continue to have a relationship with this person?
Absolutely not.
I mean, and he killed kids too.
Yeah. No.
So, like, knowing that, no, we're good. We're done here. On Dexter, Arthur didn't want to be caught. He wanted to keep completing this pattern over and over again. Dennis wanted to be famous. He wanted his name right up there with Bundy, Dahmer, Ramirez, and the rest of those sick fucks. He longed for the notoriety so much that he was the one to think up his own moniker.
Right. Didn't he try and send in like different names?
Yeah, he gave him a list. He gave him a list to choose from, a choose your own adventure of his serial killer name.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he even drew a symbol of the VTK, like a logo.
Oh my.
Because if you're going to be a killer, branding is important, right? Everybody's got to have a brand.
No.
Do you see? He's just freaking the worst.
Yeah, he's so self-absorbed, narcissistic.
It's horrible. So as the hunt went on for police to find BTK, others began to come forward and say they were behind the crimes. Well, Dennis did not like others taking credit for his work one little bit. He started sending letters, clues, and even Barbie dolls wrapped up in bondage to the detectives on the case.
Hey!
Does that sound familiar?
That's what the ice truck killer did.
That's right. In season 1. Mm-hmm. So there's a little throwback to another killer of wrapping up Barbies. Oddly enough, that will not be the last time I mentioned Barbies in this episode. I kind of feel sorry for Barbie. Well, you'll learn why. But both Trinity and Dennis left little calling cards behind on every one of their murders. In the case of Trinity, he left a smudge of the ashes from his sister's urn smeared on the wall.
So eventually he would have to stop because he'd run out of ashes.
And that's actually something that happens towards the end of the season is he's running out of his sister's ashes. That's becoming a thing. It's becoming a very real problem. And I wonder what would have happened when he ran out. I have a hard time believing he would stop.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Now fucking Dennis went with a bit less obvious approach. He would drink a glass of water at each victim's house, then wipe it down and put the glass away. And later he got pissed that the police didn't catch on to this little clue that he was leaving behind.
How is that even a clue?
I don't know. How is hydration a clue?
Like clean glasses in the
cupboard.
Like nobody's going to think of that. They might dust it for prints, but the fact that they don't find anything on there, how is that even a clue?
I don't know. I don't want to know how his mind works. It's dumb.
Yeah, no.
He also did things on some of his in some of his murders from things he saw in movies. Like in one murder, he saw Jack Nicholson wear like fingerless motorcycle gloves and he thought they were cool. So on his next murder, he wore fingerless motorcycle gloves like Jack Nicholson.
Oh my gosh.
The guy did not have one original thought in his head. He was just horrible. No.
He just wanted to be that famous.
And like I said, if you want, I think Morbid did like a 3-part episode on him. So if you want to know more about fucking Dennis, check that out. BTK 3-parter on Morbid. You can learn all about his messiness. Now, Dennis was arrested February 25th, 2005 on August 18th. That same year, he was sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences. Now, he is still alive and serving his sentence in the El Dorado Correctional Facility. Meanwhile, on Dexter, Arthur Miller is killed by Dexter with a hammer, just like the way his dad died. Unfortunately, huge spoiler alert of one of the biggest plot twists of that show. It was too late for Dexter to save his own wife, Rita. Mm-hmm. And that scene destroyed me.
Absolutely.
That poor baby, born in blood, just like his dad was. Oh.
Mm-hmm. But see, didn't he know that? The Trinity Killer know that? And that's why he did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that, and I don't know if you've ever noticed this, at that moment when Dexter comes in and sees his son and like goes to reach for him, Like everything in his world slows down and the shot even slows down.
Yeah.
And that just, oh, it's horrible. That whole, I mean, it's so powerfully done, but it just breaks your heart. Moving on from there, while there are tons of killers on Dexter, and we don't have time to do all of them,
No.
we're going to focus on, this episode would be 6 days long, which I could talk about Dexter for that long, but I don't think anybody wants to hear that.
I think they might.
I don't know. We'll see. If somebody wants to just chat about Dexter with me, I'm your girl. Let's make it happen. But for this particular episode, we're only going to focus on 2 more of the big killers. And these are going to be some pretty heavy ones. The first one is going to be the Barrel Girl killers, and the second is going to be the Doomsday killers. And if any of you want me to do deeper dives into these particular cases ever, please let me know. But for right now, let's dig into the Barrel Girls case. This season, and the killers that we're going to talk about with this one's a rough one. The killer I found who has the most similarities is David Ray Parker, aka the Toy Box Killer.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't even like the sound of that.
No, it's just his name is vile. Big time trigger warning here. There's mention of rape and torture to come. If you don't want to hear that, go ahead and skip on through to the Doomsday Killer. That one will be a little less intense. On Dexter, the Barrel Girl gang were made up of 5 guys who met at a summer camp when they were teenagers. They were Eugene Greer, Dan Manel, Cole Harmon, Alex Tilden, and Boyd Fowler. These 5 men made a ritual out of kidnapping a young woman, chaining them up with shackles, and torturing and raping them in all sorts of horrific ways. Once they were done with the girl, their body would be stuffed into a barrel, they'd be electrocuted, and then they'd be thrown into a swamp in the middle of nowhere. Now, David Ray Parker, the Toy Box Killer, he didn't work alone either. Now, but his partner in all this ugliness was his girlfriend, Cindy Hindi.
Yeah. Cindy Hindi.
Yeah. First of all, you have a stupid name, Cindy Hindi. Second
Very
of all,
much.
A woman being involved in torturing other women.
Yeah, that doesn't sit well with me at all.
No, not at all. Unfortunately, many of David Parker Ray and Cindy Hindy's victims were never found because they dumped their bodies out in the desert where the animals and the elements destroyed the evidence. Or sometimes,
you can't get anything.
Yeah. Or sometimes, instead of killing the girls, they would drug them and brainwash them that nothing had happened, and then they just let them go.
What the crap?
Yeah. On Dexter, the Barrel Girl gang's crimes came to light when one of their victims, Luna, played brilliantly by Lumen. I did again. Thank you.
Yep.
Lumen, played brilliantly by Julia Stiles. Lumen, not Luna. But on the show, thanks to Dexter's intervention, she escapes. Much like the character of Lumen, one of the Toy Box Killer's victims escaped as well. Her name was Cynthia, and she managed to break free after smashing a lamp over Cindy Hindy's head and making a run for it. Cynthia was naked, covered in blood, wearing only a chain around her neck that was dead-bolted in place. She ran door to door in search of help until she found an elderly couple that let her in and called the police. The cops came to take Cynthia to the hospital, while at the same time getting enough information to piece together that David Parker Ray was to blame. When the police searched David Parker Ray's home, there was no denying something horrible had happened there. There was a bed in the living room with shackles on the corners, hooks overhead to string someone up, and a coffin-sized box in the corner with chains inside.
Oh, that's so terrible.
Like, as if being chained up isn't bad enough, chained up inside a coffin.
Yeah.
I'm claustrophobic just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Few further searches revealed torture devices and restraints everywhere. I'm not going to go into the depth of all the devices that he had to inflict pain.
No, please don't.
But it's bad. It's bad. I will say that the fact that Cynthia survived this for 3 whole days is astounding. She's a badass fighter that she made it through. But I have to imagine the scars inward and outward that she has have got to run deep. Now, there are 3 more elements of this where art and life imitate each other very closely, and I have to point these out specifically. The first, in the real Toy Box Killer case, while Cynthia was in the hospital being treated, Cindy Hindi was ushered past her room to get stitched up from where Cynthia smashed the lamp over her head.
That would be so traumatizing to see the person that has been like torturing you for days.
Exactly. She thought she was there to get her. Yeah. She was freaking out. The good thing is, by that point, Cindy Hindi was already in police custody. So there was at least that. But she did make a comment to the police, Cindy Hindi did, when she saw Cynthia, that she was like, you need to check that girl for heroin.
What?
So, yeah, she had to make a little comment about that because apparently before they kidnapped her, she did have a drug problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So
they wanted to try and spin it to where, oh, she's on drugs. So we didn't do anything of that sort.
Exactly.
But she wanted all of that.
But one look at her and nobody was buying that story.
Yeah.
Now, this is very similar to on Dexter. He tried to drug Boyd Fowler so that he could kill him. And at the same time, Boyd hit him with a dart gun. The two woke up next to each other on the ambulance, or in the ambulance, and then were put in rooms side by side in the hospital.
Yeah.
So there's a pretty big similarity then. The second similarity is pretty gross. In the Barrel Girls with the Barrel Girl gang and David Parker Ray, they both recorded themselves torturing their victims.
Ugh.
As gruesome as that is, it did help investigators, or on the show, a pissed off Dexter Morgan, find them.
Yeah.
The final similarity that we're going to cover in this case is the emotional torment inflicted by the rapists. In case of the Barrel Girls, Eugene Greer, aka Jordan Chase, would put his watch down by the victim's ear and say, "Tick, tick, tick. That's the sound of your life running out."
That's so terrible.
As icky as that sounds, I would rather have that, like, and those birthday cards that sing at you, I would rather have that inside of one of those recorded birthday cards than what David Parker Ray would do. He had, when they would kidnap a woman and bring her there and shackle her, he had a cassette tape that he would play for them that was 40 minutes long. And it told them in grisly, gruesome detail exactly what he was going to do to them.
No.
Yeah.
No.
The transcripts are available online to search for, but let me just tell you, don't read them. They're there if you want to, but don't.
Nope.
There's things on there I wish I wouldn't have read because now I can't unsee it and it makes me sick to my stomach.
Oh, please don't tell me them either.
No. No, you don't need to read it. It's fine.
No.
That's fine. Just know it's out there somewhere.
I live in my own little sandy land.
There you go. It's
nice
it's nice there. There's no girls in barrels.
No.
Yeah. Now, as is usual on Dexter, he, and in this case, Lumen, killed the Barrel Girl gang off one by one. In reality, David Parker Ray was arrested and sentenced to 224 years in prison.
Wow.
He died May 28th, 2002, of a heart attack.
What's all with all these heart attacks?
I don't know. Apparently your heart gives out in prison. I hope it was a really painful heart attack, though.
Yeah.
In a truly horrible turn of events, Cindy Hindi was released after only 19 years in prison, and she's currently free.
No. Why? No. She's not supposed to be free.
No. So this woman that not only watched but actively participated in all the torturing and murder and rape of these women, she's out there somewhere.
No. She probably changed her name because Cindy Hindi is terrible.
Yeah. I hope so. Now, I just realized something. We were going to do one more killer. And I said a few minutes ago that it was going to be the Doomsday Killer, but it's not.
Oops.
I was going to do the Doomsday Killer, but then they released the last season of Dexter, Dexter New Blood. And that one mirrors an Alaskan killer. They could directly drew from his story. So that one I had to cover. So maybe in another episode, if somebody wants me to, I'll try to find somebody that matches up to Doomsday. But for today, we're going to do our Alaskan serial killer, whose real name was Robert Hansen.
That seems like a normal name.
It does. But Robert had a pretty normal life other than his sick pastime.
Going on a killing spree?
Big time. But like in a we'll get there. We'll get there. If you haven't watched the last season of Dexter New Blood, definitely skip over this part. You haven't? I know. Well, I'm going to ruin it for you. I'm sorry.
I know. It's okay. You gave me plenty of time to catch up, which was only like 48 hours. So,
but you chose to do other things like sleep and take care of your family and be responsible.
I know.
That's fine.
Your girls. I had to take care of your girls and get them to school.
Yeah. That's true. Well, I was laying in bed watching TV. I don't know what you were doing.
I was doing all of your work.
Yeah, I know. So everybody doesn't think I'm a slug. I had surgery, okay?
Yes.
She was very nicely helping me out.
I said you're the very opposite of a slug. Like literally, I had to no, you go lay down right now.
I know, which is also probably why, a week, 2 weeks later, I'm still sore today is because I won't just sit. Anyways, but I digress. Okay, so if you've watched the last season of Dexter New Blood, out in the Alaskan wilderness where Dexter has made his new life, we meet a man by the name of Kurt who owns a diner and a truck stop in that small little town. And everyone there views him as a good guy. But Kurt has a dark secret. You see, Kurt accidentally killed a young woman a few years back, and it kind of became a fetish for him.
Oh, no.
Yeah. To feed his dark addiction, he finds runaways. And he finds not just runaways, but women that are down on their luck that, basically nobody would know if they would go missing.
Right.
He offers them a place to live in this adorable little cabin that he owns with a jacuzzi and a cozy bed. But things do not stay rosy for these women. Not at all.
Oh, no. Run away. Run away now. Never let a man tell you, I've got a house in a cabin in the woods.
Yeah, don't do that. You're not Little Red Riding Hood. Don't do that.
Nope. The big bad wolf. Oh, dear.
Exactly. There's a reason that's a fairy tale or a nursery rhyme. Once the women go in there, they're locked inside and soon discover that there's a camera filming their every moment or their every movement.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Kurt then waits until the perfect moment. Probably a few days in. It was a few days in. He made sure that they were very frustrated, really wanted out, getting kind of panicked. And then he would open the door and offer them bunny ears, freedom. What awaits them outside is Kurt in full hunting gear, ready to hunt and track them like an animal. Yeah.
And these women probably have never really been in the woods before and don't know what to do.
Yeah. And they're not dressed for it. They have their regular clothes, and I think one of them he gave their coat back. I don't think he gave it back every time, but yeah. So they're out in the freezing cold, just running for their lives.
Yeah, in Alaska.
Yeah.
Where there's wild animals.
Horrible ones.
Yeah.
And much of this was taken from a real story. Robert Hansen, known as the Butcher Baker, was a quiet guy. He ran a local bakery. The few that knew him believed that he was capable of the atrocities that he committed. But he didn't just target those down on his luck. He specifically targeted prostitutes, much like the ice truck killer and many other serial killers do, unfortunately. He would offer to pay for
those
sex.
Women are not worthy.
What?
And those women are not worthy in their eyes.
Yeah, they think they have no value. Nobody will know if they've gone missing. That's not true. That's a human being that has family that love them. Sometimes they're doing this to care for their kids. It's
right. Sometimes it's the only option that they have to make a little bit of money to help their kids. And that's a sad world that we live in, that has to be an option.
Yep, I agree. He would he would offer to pay these women for sex, then subdue them by gunpoint and rape them.
Oh.
But his sick little games didn't stop there. He would chain his victims in a soundproof room in his basement and torture them for days. Once he had his fill, he would tell him he was going to release them. Instead, he would load them into this private plane he owned, one of those little prop planes, fly them out into the middle of the Alaskan wilderness, and hunt and kill them. I mean, he's hunting them for days.
I thought you were going to say he pushed them out of the plane.
No. That might have been an easier death for them. Yeah. Because he'd hunt them for days.
Oh,
he'd get close and let them think that they were, safe,
so they have
and
hope.
Yeah,
they're safe.
And this is out in the wilderness. There's nothing for miles and miles and miles and miles. There's no help to be found.
And so he must have had his pilot's license to keep from being caught.
Yeah. Yep. He did. He flew his own plane out there. His reign of terror ended when one of his victims escaped. With her testimony, officers were pointed in Hansen's direction. Searching his home uncovered enough evidence for a conviction, and in 1984, he was sentenced to 461 years in prison with no chance for parole.
Good.
Yes. Meanwhile, on Dexter, Kurt Caldwell wasn't killed by Dexter alone. Dexter's son, Harrison, who was born in blood just like his dad, joined in the family business of bringing the madman down.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he took Harrison and moved them to Alaska from Miami.
I'm not going to tell you what happens from there because there is more that happens and I do want you to see it. But we don't know if there's going to be
I'll catch up soon.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be another season of this. If there is, it's going to have to be reworked. Also, I have very, very, very strong feelings about this season. I think there's.
So I need to hurry up and catch up so that we can talk about this.
Or our listeners, if anybody wants to rant with me about that last season, if you have strong feelings about it, or just want to gab about your thoughts, I would love to hear it because there was some things that I thought were very out of character for well-established characters, but I digress. Well, so there you have it. There's some real-life cases of serial killers mirroring those on TV. Now, Sandra, she hates it when...
You're the only one that ever calls me Sandy. And when my husband tries to do it, it's no, you can't pull that off.
You can't pull that off.
No.
Okay.
But when you do it, when you say Sandra, usually I'm like, what did I do? I'm in trouble. What?
Exactly. Okay. So anyone listening, Sandra, if you hear me call her Sandy, that is a slip up. I'm trying to stop, but Sandra.
But it's been many, many years.
I know. It's been so many years. I don't know if I can stop doing it now. Based on this, the killers on TV versus the real thing, what are your thoughts on who you think is the scariest in there?
Oh, goodness. They're all scary.
Yeah. Is there one in particular that just made your skin crawl?
It would have to be the toy box killer.
Yeah.
Knowing that another female, like maybe you were out somewhere and you needed help and she's like, "Oh, I'll help you." And like you're felt safe like going with her because it's another female. And then all of a sudden there's a man.
Yeah.
And then they start torturing you. Like that is terrifying.
That actually happened in one of their cases. I believe it was Cynthia, if I'm remembering correctly. She was working as a prostitute and he picked her up and tried to say he was a police officer. And then I think he was driving like a motorhome or something, or a van. And then Cindy Hindy came out of the back and tried to slap on the cuffs. And this girl, or Cynthia, immediately realized something wasn't right. That's not how police officers work, and tried to struggle.
Right.
So it's exactly what you were saying, that, I think we see another female and we think that there's an element of protection there, but
Yeah.
that's just a horrible betrayal.
Yeah.
I agree that one is just the worst. I also forgot to mention that the toy box killer had a trailer that he built that was like his special place for torturing women. And inside, the walls were covered with pictures of women he tortured, porn, everything. But there was also another wrapped up Barbie doll in there. What is it with serial killers and Barbie dolls?
Right. And why are they wrapping them up?
I don't know. Like, did you not get to play with dolls when you were younger and you're just upset about it? Because, it's okay. It's never too late. Go get yourself a Barbie dream house and a couple dolls and do the damn thing. Like,
get the Barbie Jeep.
Yeah, just don't kill people.
Right.
Play with dolls. Just don't kill people.
That should be a phrase, not a shirt.
Play with dolls. Just don't kill people.
Play with dolls. Goodness. Just don't kill people.
So I think that's about all we have for today. We're ready to wrap this episode up. Hopefully we won't have to re-record it. Exactly.
We better not.
I know. All right. Now, before we go, I have my little art quote of the day. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
May your life be so rad, art can't wait to imitate it.
Aww.
But in this case, not because you were the target of a serial killer. Let's tag that on there.
I like that.
I do too. All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.